What's up, YouTube? It's Boone. We're taking a break from the traditional gaming stream and try to do something different. We're going to diversify a little bit. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm about to feed an entire family of 5 with some picky-ass children for under 25 bucks with some shit you can get entirely at Walmart. So hopefully we'll get some likes and subscribes on this video. If we do, I'll make a cooking channel a regular feature, I suppose. But we're going to try it out to see how it goes. I'm a little bit nervous, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never cooked on YouTube before. I've never cooked on camera before, to be frank. So we're going to try it out. We're going to see what happens. I'm hoping it'll go well. As you can see, I love to eat. I equally love cooking, so maybe this will work out. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set the oven for 350. We're going to put a 20-minute timer on the microwave. Because we want to cook the things in terms of time duration. We want to cook the things that are going to take the longest first. So we're going to go ahead and take our lid off our pot here. We're going to get roughly, now I like to eyeball things. I've been doing this for a bit, so I've learned to eyeball shit. But we're going to take roughly a quarter cup of butter. Go ahead and dump her on in there into our rice pot. We're going to be using Zatarain's yellow rice, so go on ahead, dump her on in there. Spilling shit. Not a great start to the first cooking stream ever. Alright, so we're going to want to make sure we get all of it. Rice and beans are probably the kids' favorite part of this whole thing. So. While we're waiting, we'll go ahead. We're going to get Nightbot up on in here. Might as well make Nightbot join the channel. Give it just a minute here. Stare at my beard. Go ahead and put this Nightbot in the channel. I'll go ahead and get the stream up on YouTube so I can see chat. Just want to make sure everything's good to go. Alright. So what we're going to do now is it says on the box to add 2.5 cups of water. I happen to think, no offense to Zatarain's, that that's a little bit bullshit. I like to just fill her up, like as you can see. We got a pot full of rice here. I like to take it and just fill her up so that the rice is covered. I think that makes for some more flavorful rice, so we don't want to go ahead and put too much on there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring her to a boil because she's going to take a minute. So throw her on high. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our refried beans. And again, like I said in the video description, you can get all this from Walmart just to show you I'm not bullshitting. It's great value. Great value refried beans. We'll break out our old trusty magic hand here. We'll open her up. Now we're not going to start cooking the refried beans yet. My wife actually taught me this trick. We're going to take the grease from the hamburger and some of the extra little drippings from the pan there once we get her done, and we're going to put it into the refried beans, and then once we put it into the refried beans, we're going to turn the heat on just on low, let it sit. If you've ever cooked with refried beans before, you know they can be messy and be a pain in the ass to get out of the can, so we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so we got our refried beans out, chilling. That rice smells good. Don't ever do that, it's not sanitary. But, as I say, I got a family of 5, so for any of you people that have cooked for a family of 5 before, you know kids got germs, so it's not the end of the world. So that's heating up, we're going to keep that off. Now, the real secret here is what you're going to be using for your taco meat. I've put some ground beef into the fridge in this gallon Ziploc bag here with some good in it. It's got some yellow onion, some smashed garlic. Just took one of these pear nuts here, smashed some garlic down, put some yellow onion in it, a little bit of blend of some other stuff, some Worcestershire sauce, some olive oil, some salt, some pepper, some cumin, some cayenne, some crushed red pepper flakes. I like to use fresh ground black pepper and fresh ground Himalayan pink salt. I know it seems a little bougie, but I like the Himalayan Peak Salt. I think that it works really, really well. But at any rate, that's what we've got here. It's really up to taste. Again, I've been doing this for a while, so I eyeball shit. But I try to like do about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, depending on how spicy you like your tacos. I've done some cayenne again, some cumin, some paprika, some oregano, just your traditional taco seasonings, but I've let it sit with some onions and some garlic in the fridge for like 3 hours. You don't really have to marinate it that long if you don't want to. You don't have to marinate it at all, but I think that marinating it for like a couple hours is pretty dang. It gets in there really good. I've put it out of the fridge, I've let it sit on the counter, I've let it get to room temperature for about, I don't know, 30-35 minutes. Just prepping for the stream, getting everything going. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our heat set to about medium. You don't want it too hot. I know a lot of people feel the need to get it really, really hot, sear the beef. It's not a grill, though, so I don't feel a need for that. But again, just to show you our cheap ass selves, great value olive oil spray. Non-stick is really important. You don't need to stick in the pan. So we're going to go ahead and let that get a little bit hot. Check on our rice here. Our rice is good. Other thing that we're going to do is we like cheese dip. So again, we got some cheese dip. We've got our tortilla chips here set aside on a aluminum foil lined tray sprayed with some olive oil non-stick. And we've also got some tortilla shells sprayed here. So we've got the oven preheating to 350. They don't need to stay in there long, but by the time the oven gets to 350, everything else should be about ready. So we went ahead and did that, got that out of the way. So right now we're just waiting. We're gonna kind of wait for shit to heat up and get going. Once this rice gets boiling, you're gonna want to take it and put a lid on it, cover it. That's actually really important, believe it or not. Like the covering for the simmer, once it gets to a boil and you turn it down, you start to simmer it. That's really important because it really allows those flavors to sort of like circulate. Like, I'm not a physics guy, I'm an English professor, but like when you get the flavors in there and you cover it, you know, you allow the I don't know, the seasonings and everything you've put in it to sort of like circulate. You know, you get that shit going, so all the flavors get absorbed. But right now, again, we don't have our refried beans on heat yet because we're waiting for the drippings from the hamburger. So I'm gonna go ahead and feel this. It's the same thing with grilling. If you hold your hand about 2 inches above the surface of the pan, you can figure out where the heat is. You really don't want to put your meat on until the pot or pan that you're using is relatively warm. I find that letting it sit there, you just lose flavor. So I'm gonna wait for it to get a little bit warm and before I put the meat on. That way it gains some flavor and it allows for the meat to immediately cook, so all of those flavors are kind of sealed in. Take a bit there. As you can tell, we're cooking Mexican food on Taco Tuesday. So I'm not going to tell you what's in this, but I will say there's lime juice in it and some other things. Ooh, that's tasty. All right. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my family really loves cheese dip. Like, really loves cheese dip. You can get this Gordo's cheese dip from Walmart for like $4. It's a little bit on the steep side because it's cheese. You know how that is. But it goes a long way and it really adds to the meal. So we're gonna wait for this. We gotta put it in the microwave and let it sort of like melt out a little bit before it's really gooey and usable. But for right now, we're gonna keep it out. Let it get ready for the microwave. I know you can't see it because of the way my camera's set up. I don't really have a cooking stream camera set up at the moment. I kind of really only stream video games, but I figured I would try this just to see how it went. But we've got some boil going down. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna turn the heat down to a medium low. Like it says on the box, turn it down to low. I don't agree with that. I think that medium low gets a more accurate simmer. So we're gonna go ahead and turn it down and put the lid on. gonna set the timer, since it went away in my microwave. If you don't do it for a while, it takes the timer off. So we're gonna go ahead and start that timer at 25 minutes. You don't have to check it too much, but you definitely want to check it after a while just to make sure that everything's going according to plan. You know, better safe than sorry. So we're gonna let that sit for a little bit. We'll check it in a minute. But the oven's at 275. It's gonna get to 350 before we're ready. You really don't want to let your chips and your tortillas sitting there for too long, because you don't want to let your soft tacos, which my family loves soft tacos. You don't really want to let the soft tacos sit in there too long, because if you let them sit in there too long, they're going to get too crispy to bend, and that's kind of a problem. That defeats the whole purpose of soft tacos. So what you want to do is you want to wait until you've got about 2-3 minutes left and just put them in and let them get a little bit crispy. I try to put them in with this cheese dip, because the cheese dip takes about the same amount of time, and that way everything comes out together. You don't have shit getting cold, so that tends to work out. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a like on this video. I would totally encourage you all to do the same. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's really tough building up a new channel and getting new subscribers. Ever since I quit playing Destiny, as far as video games go, and I quit carrying people through raids, refried beans, sorry, big fan, and trials and shit, I stopped getting a lot of subscribers. It was a lot easier doing Destiny than it is starting a new channel from scratch with a game that's less popular. So any likes and subscribes would totally help me out. I'm trying to build this channel up. Any donations, they're completely unnecessary. There's absolutely no reason to donate. Do not feel obligated. But I will say this, anytime that anyone donates to the channel, all of that money gets used towards the stream. I like to provide the best quality stream I can, so I have this Blue Snowball microphone right now. It's helping me out today. But I'd like to get some other things to just make the stream as best as it could be. Sorry, that lime juice is tasty. I'd like to keep everything as professional as possible. I feel as though making things professional helps you out in the long run, so any donations will help the stream. I'm not going to use them to like pay my bills or shit. We've got that covered, but I would like to be able to support this hobby and above all else make my wife feel like it's justified. You know, she kind of looked at me funny when she's like, I'm going to do a cooking stream, like, whatever. But I'd like for her to see that there's actually some point to all of this. So, again, paypal.me/BooneandHD. The O's are zeros, just so you know, if you want to check that out. Any donations, again, they go straight to the stream. So, by all means, don't feel like you're going to help me pay my light bill. You're going to help me keep the stream going. It'd be much appreciated. Alright, so we've got about 20 minutes left on this rice here. We're going to bring it down to a little bit lower. For whatever reason, we're still sitting at... Alright, that's why. Alright, so we're going to bring her on down about medium-low. We had her a little too hot. Alright, so the oven's at 350. We're going to go ahead and we're going to throw our meat on. Now again, I've marinated this ground beef with some onions, some garlic. I know it doesn't really help, but just to show you the inside of the bag, it's quite tasty here, quite tasty. Some onions, some garlic, again, some cayenne, crushed red pepper, black pepper, pink Himalayan salt. It's all fresh ground. Again, you can get this shit from Walmart. A lot of people have this misconception that when you go and buy shit from Walmart, you can't get anything good. I strongly disagree with that. I think that you can get a lot of good from Walmart, you just have to put some work into it. Sorry, we had to go throw that shit away. But yeah, I have a meat tenderizing hammer. I didn't use it this particular time. But what I like to do is I like to take, hold on, we're gonna throw this garlic out. Kids don't want to bite into a chunk of garlic. We like to take our meat tenderizing hammer and pound our meat out, especially if we're doing steaks or something. But at this particular moment, I'm not going to use it. I just use my hands to sort of, pardon the expression, beat the meat. get it nice and soft. A lot of people don't realize the value in that, but when you, oh, we missed a piece of garlic here. Big old wedge. A lot of people don't realize that when you pound the meat out like that, you're really making it so that it absorbs a lot of the extra flavors from what you're marinating it in. So whenever I marinate anything, I like to sort of beat it out, let it get to a point where it's all nice and tenderized and it's ready to absorb the flavor you're putting in it. Now naturally this ground beef isn't going to take 20 minutes to cook, but I'm going to throw it in the oven for a little bit once it's done onto these taco shells, so it'll heat right back up. We're really just waiting on the rice at this moment, getting some grease from the hamburger on the refrieds. But we don't really put a lot in our tacos. I've got some Taco Bell fire sauce in the fridge. Got an EO bag of shredded lettuce here. It's really a matter of what you want to put in your shit. You know, if you want to put onions and jalapenos and all sorts of crazy shit, you can go ahead and buy that. But really, I try to keep it simple because the kids are really picky. They don't like to eat a lot of crazy shit, so. So our oven's at 350 and it's just kind of sitting there. The reason you don't want to put your chips or your tortillas in before 350, or excuse me, before you get the rest of your shit together, is because they don't need to stay in that long and you want to serve them hot. So we're just going to let the oven sit at 350 for a minute. And when we get close to being ready to go, when the rice is almost done and the meat's all brown and whatnot, we'll go ahead and throw those in there. But for right now, we don't really need to mess with it too much. Just let it sit on the stove. It's really weird, to be honest, having downtime. Like, I've never really cooked talking to people before, or like providing tips or whatever. So I'm kind of just like sitting here at this point, killing it. You know, waiting for timers to run down and shit to get ready. Guess we could put our can opener away. I strongly recommend that, by the by. I'm not sure if anybody watching this is going to be in the market for a new can opener, but those Magic can openers are pretty legit. They don't leave any rough edges on the can. They're really when the rice is almost done and the meat's all brown and whatnot. We'll go ahead and throw those in there. But for right now, we don't really need to mess with it too much. Just let it sit on the stove. It's really weird, to be honest, having downtime. Like, I've never really cooked talking to people before, or like providing tips or whatever. So I'm kind of just like sitting here at this point, killing it. You know, waiting for timers to run down and shit to get ready. Guess we could put our can opener away. I strongly recommend that, by the by. I'm not sure if anybody watching this is going to be in the market for a new can opener, but those Magic can openers are pretty legit. They don't leave any rough edges on the can. They're really easy to use. They're pretty much the next evolutionary level of the can opener. I'm not upset at all that we bought one. Great Value shit really is branded as Great Value, but it's just runoff from like fucking other companies that for whatever reason they have excess and they sell it to companies like Walmart to use for Great Value brand shit. It's kind of like how, like, for those of y'all that enjoy a nice beverage every once in a while, like when you buy like cheap rum, like some of the cheaper rums and the cheaper vodkas and whatnot, they're not really a different brand. They're just the runoff and the extras from name brand shit. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that sometimes those brands, they don't want to pay taxes per like how much they produce, so they create a secondary company that actually is like virtually the same thing as, like, for instance, with Bacardi. I believe it's Ron Rigo. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. I don't want to say it's for definite. But with Ron Rigo, it's supposedly just extra Bacardi, that they've produced and they don't want to pay Bacardi taxes on, so they create a secondary company and they sell it as something else. Which is actually pretty smart if you ask me. Like, I find that to be pretty intellectual. Alright, so we're just chilling here. We got about 14 minutes and 40 seconds left on the rice. We're going to check her out. She's looking alright. She's looking about where I expect her to be. Refried beans still don't have any heat on them because we're waiting to get the grease from that meat on them. You know, some people may find that gross, but clearly if you look at my gut, I don't find that gross. Like, put that grease on it. Why not? Fuck it. It's occurring to me looking at this setup that I might want to get like a better camera to be able to show what's going on like in the pans, because from right here you can't really see much. You just sort of see like a side view. If these videos take off and people actually give a shit about me cooking, which, you know, who knows, I might actually figure out a way to get a better angle, like maybe multiple cameras or some shit, so that you can see what's going on. But just to give you an update right now, our ground beef is still a little pink in the middle. I like to slow cook my shit. I don't have it on like scorching hot, so it's still a little pink in the middle. We're gonna let it finish up. A little trick too, just a word for the wise. If you don't want to marinate your ground beef and you want to just cook it with some onions and whatnot, and throw it straight in the pan, a trick that'll really help enhance the quality of your ground beef is if you throw some Rotel in it when it's about where it is now, just a little pink. This might be sketchy, but I'm going to try to show right here what this ground beef looks like. Yeah, we're not going to try to pour it. I just noticed that it was about to pour out of the pan. We're not going to do that. But if it gets a little bit to the point where it's about done, there's some pink still in it, throw a can of Rotel in there. Let the Rotel cook down with the beef as it finishes. It makes for some really excellent flavor. And of course, if you don't like things spicy, fear not, you can get some mild Rotel. It's not really a deal breaker there for people who aren't a big fan of spicy things. So what we're going to do is we're looking at this now. It's getting about ready. We're going to stay warm. Those onions continue cooking down from the marinade. So we're going to turn this bad boy down to a low. Now we're going to let it slow cook the rest of the way. When it gets to a little bit closer to when the rice is done, we're going to go ahead and pour the grease in the refried beans. But we're looking at, rice is getting good. I will say this, it's really important that you cover the rice. Like, it's really important, because if you don't cover the rice, you're really losing a lot of that flavor. And rice is really bland by default. So you want to cover it and let all of the flavors that Zatarain's was courteous enough to package into the rice sort of come into it and get everything all nice and flavorful. Ooh. All right. So again, we've got our foil-lined olive oil pan spray trays with tortillas and chips on it. The oven's already at 350. We're just sort of waiting for the time to dwindle down so that we can actually put them in and not burn them up too much. Again, if you put these tortilla shells in the oven too quick, then you're going to let them sit and they're going to get really, really crispy, and they're not going to fold up like soft tortillas should. If you like hard tacos, that's awesome, but my kids and my family like soft tacos all day. As crazy as that may sound. I'm a fan of hard tacos myself, but I prefer when I'm cooking to go ahead and throw on soft tacos because they seem to help in terms of getting the kids to eat and whatnot. They're not a big fan of a lot of spicy, crunchy. They kind of like things to be really easily digestible, so we're not going to let them sit in there for too long, but we do want them to get some heat on them. It may sound weird, but when you put the tortilla chips and the tortilla shells in the oven, they do get this extra sort of, I don't know if I call it texture, but they get this extra flavor to them that just really seems to add to it. So I strongly recommend, even if you're in a hurry, heat your oven up to 350, throw the shells in there. I mean, they come out delicious. It's fantastic. Alright, so these onions are about to become translucent. They're not quite there yet. it's because they sat in that marinade for a while. They've got a little bit of extra juice in them. They're not going to really come down quite yet. Still got some pink. We're going to mesh up a little bit just so we can get some general heat through all of it. But yeah, I'm using a ground chuck blend. My Walmart actually has a ground chuck, ground beef, ground sirloin, or not ground sirloin, ground pork blend. It's relatively affordable. Like you can get 2 pounds of it, 2.5 pounds of it for virtually like $6. It's a nice blend. I strongly support blends. Like I'm not a big fan of just straight ground beef. Like I like blends. I feel they cook nicer. I feel they have a better flavor. So we've got some blended beef in here. It's about $6. I mean, you can get an onion, clove of garlic for, combined less than $2. It's nothing. You get multiple uses out of it. When it comes to Worcestershire sauce, I must say that's the one area where I spoil myself. We use Lee & Perry's in this house. Lee & Perry's is the only Worcestershire sauce we ever use for anything. It's fantastic. It adds a lot of flavor. Butter, as much as I hate to admit it, because looky here, butter is an excellent marinade additive. It really gives the meat a lot of juiciness and a lot of flavor. So we're gonna check on the rice here. The rice is almost done. I'm gonna grab another back. We're gonna try to grab another. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and stir this rice a little bit. It's almost done, to be honest. I don't know if it's gonna need the full amount of time to set for it. But again, that's the benefit of only adding enough water to cover the rice. Like 2.5 cups gets a bit excessive, and the rice is really watery. I like to just cover it. Seems to cook a lot more deliciously in that regard. Alright, so we're looking at about 7 minutes and 38 seconds on the rice. When it gets down to about, I'd say 3 minutes, 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and throw the tortillas and the tortilla chips into the oven. Our meat's pretty much done. So I think what we're going to do at this point is we're going to use this slotted wood spoon here. We're going to drain some of this juice into the refried beans, give them that extra flavor. You definitely don't want to lose any of the ground beef. Again, when you're feeding a family of 5, losing any of your actual taco protein is going to be problematic. So you certainly don't want to lose all of your juice. Because once you do that, then there's nothing for the meat simmering. It doesn't carry the flavor out. So you just want a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn those refried beans on some low. You don't want to cook them too fast. Again, there's not much going on there. We're going to take this spoon, as much as I hate to put a piece of silverware into a non-stick pot. My mom ever saw this, she'd kill me. Don't put that silverware in that non-stick pot. Oh yeah. So we're about 6 minutes. Let's check this rice out. Ooh, absolutely. Just to let y'all see where the rice is at right now. I can't tilt it too much with the camera, but this rice is coming along nice. And again, Zatarain, it's like $1.30. You can get it pretty good for cheap. I like lettuce on my tacos, so again, great value lettuce. It's like a log. This whole deal, I think, came out to like $24 and some change. So it's really not much, especially when you're considering feeding a family of 5. And as much as my kids love tacos, I like to do things for them where they can actually, they can enjoy things that they like. heard from my wife that, you know, you can pretty much expect kids to eat one meal, play with one meal, and ignore one meal. So when it comes to dinner, you know, I want them to go to bed with a full stomach. I know they love tacos, so it's a pretty safe bet. I'm going to go ahead and mash up our meat here. There's some chunks that are a little bigger than we like. We're just trying to, I don't want to say stretch it, but we're definitely trying to get the bang for our buck here. That's part of the plan. So we're going to go ahead and mash it up, make sure a lot of this beef is spread out. We're not going to get any big blobs in our tacos. Stir these bad boys up. Now they're starting to heat. Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? Alright, so we've got pretty much everything set to go. We've got about 3 minutes and 30-some seconds left. Shut that rice up. I hate to keep taking the cover off because I feel like every time I take that lid off, we're going to lose flavor. Alright, so rice should be done virtually within the next 3 minutes. Again, when we get to about 2.5 minutes, we're going to go ahead and throw our shit in the oven here. Get everything ready to go. Another thing I'm going to include plating and everything into the channel because who really wants to see that? If you're struggling to understand how to plate tacos, then you might not really benefit from this anyway. Really tempting to reach in there and burn myself and grab a piece of that meat, but not quite sure I want to do that. Alright, so we're at 2:45. I'm going to get ready here in a minute. Put these tortillas in the oven. Alright, we're at 2:30. So what I like to do is I like to put the tortilla chips on the top because it's okay if they get a little bit crunchy. They're about, I'd say, 7-8 inches from the boiler. We're going to throw our tortilla shells here on the bottom.
Unorthodox.
Nice. Alright. So about a minute 50 left, and we'll hit the bait. Our refried beans are coming along nicely. We'll go ahead and give them another stir through. Make sure they absorb all of that hamburger juice. Ooh, rice is looking excellent. Looks like, once again, right on time. Rice is going to be good to go. It's looking delicious. We got a little bit of juice left that we can get on out, but by the time we get our cheese dip done, we'll be good. So we got about 50 seconds left. So we're going to wait, let it all melt. You can smell that cumin though. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take the beef off. I don't want to cook out all that flavor. We'll go ahead and turn that burner off and put the beef on the back. Let it sit and simmer for a second. Now with this particular cheese dip, the Gordo's from Walmart, what you want to do is you want to open the lid lid just a little bit, snap it off, and loosen the lid. You can see it's, you know, a little bit loose. Put it on just a touch, but not a lot. We'll heat it for about a minute. Now that we've got our timer going off. Alright. So we're going to heat it for about a minute with the lid on. Go ahead and throw it on in there. Now, I have a microwave that's essentially a nuclear warhead. So I try to take that into consideration when I'm heating stuff up. If you have a microwave that you know it takes a little bit longer for shit to get ready, you might want to put it in there for like a minute, minute and a half. But for me, in this microwave, a minute flat for the first go is exactly where you want it. Go ahead and check these refrieds. Probably not going to stir them again, so I guess it's safe to. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Alright, we're going to get a clean spoon here. Because when this minute's up, we're going to take the cheese dip out. We're going to give her a stir. So this whole thing, we've been live for about 37 minutes. I mean, it's taken about 40 minutes to prep the nugget. Bring out the old phone here. It's 5:40. So, we're good. We're going to take all the cheese dip out. Okay, a little bit of liquid is okay, because again, you've got butter in there. Don't do this at home. Do not touch the burner to get shit that you spill off. That's what we do. Alright, so this rice is about solid. Cheese is about solid. We're going to check on it. Alright. So, about this time, we've got our cheese dip ready. Got our condiments and our toppings ready. Rice is good. The refried beans. There's a little bit of liquid in them left in the grease, but in all honesty, the kids will soup that on up. So if you don't want to give your kids grease, by all means, you don't have to put your hamburger grease in there. So let's see, y'all. We're really just going to wait till about 5:45, so we've got about 2 more minutes left. We're going to wait just a little bit, give it about a minute or so, throw out the old chips and tortilla shells, let them cool off and get ready for serving. Bam, we got about a minute. I really wanted to try something new. I wanted to see if the cooking stream could take off. I know there's probably a shit ton out there, but I really wanted to do a stream for dads and people with big families like mine to, on a budget, prepare some really top tier shit. And you'd be surprised if you try this out for yourself, how good this comes out. Again, I mean, marinating the meat is important. Like I said, you want to do about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons crushed red pepper flakes, oregano. You know, I use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some olive oil just to get the vegetables all tender and ready to go. But this is really cheap, really easy. A lot of the stuff you use to make it, you have lying around the house already. Alrighty. Whew. Heat. Feel it. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and take these out. This is the beauty of granite countertops. Ooh, you can hear them toasted. Go ahead and take the tortilla shells out. Let's feel those. Let's get a little texture. Ooh, they're firm, but they're still soft and malleable. So once those cool down, they'll be great. So we can go ahead and turn our oven off here. We've pretty much got everything done. The rice is done. We'll turn on the beans to low. But the rice is done. We can go ahead and turn her off. Beef's good. Cheese is good. We're pretty set. So I guess that concludes the first episode, really, of Cooking with Boone. Put some lineage up here to keep that heat in. But yeah, pretty easy. Super toasty. That salt flavor really comes out. Again, you can top your tacos with whatever. I like some lettuce, some onions, some cheese. Walmart's got a Fiesta blend cheese. It's actually pretty legit. You know, it's really cheap. You're trying to feed a lot of people. You know, don't hesitate. It's a great value brand. Don't feel like you're being cheap. It's not as bad as you would think. A lot of times it's very comparable to name brand stuff. So we're pretty good. Let's go ahead and try this real quick. I'm curious. Oh God. That marinade. That marinade for days makes all the difference in the world. So about the time you finish one margarita and get everything ready to go, so we're sitting here, what, we have 42 minutes? About an hour? It's about what I figure normal families spend prepping food for their kids. It's not that bad. An hour's not terrible. So I guess we're pretty done, you know, at this point. There's not a lot left to do. Again, I'm not really going to show plating. That's entirely up to you. We can go out to the herb garden outside and grab some fresh herbs and whatnot and plate it really fancy if we wanted to. But again, we got kids. We're feeding a family of 5, so who's got time for that? So we're just going to let it be what it is. I guess we're going to let everything cool down to the point that it's ready to go. All the burners are off, ovens off, microwaves off. We're just going to let everything get cooled down until it's ready to serve and the kids don't have to wait to cool it off. I guess we're going to eat. So hopefully that has been fun. I've had fun doing it. I actually had a lot more fun than I thought I would do it. We're going to be back on some H1Z1 here in a little bit, playing some duos with Brooke, getting ready for some MLG scrims. But right now, you know, I think we're good. So again, this has been, I guess, Cooking with Boone. Thanks for joining in. If you watch this after the fact, please do not hesitate to hit that like button, that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on. We do a lot of giveaways on this channel. I haven't really done a cooking-centric giveaway, but you know, there's lots of perks. I try to make it so that there's incentive for you all to like the videos that I put up and to subscribe to the channel. So by all means, if you're watching this now and you like it, go ahead and hit subscribe and like the video now. If you're watching it after the fact, I'll hopefully do more of these. It really depends on how this video is received. So I guess we'll go from there. So again, this has been Boone. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen, and I'll see you on some H1Z1.